Did you know an NFL rivalry could burn so hot for over 16 years?
And that is Terrell Suggs at his best.
Forget hugs. This ain't kindergarten. We're diving into the NFL's most hated rivalries.
They started chirping. It wasn't bad.
Trash talk hotter than Carolina.
And it escalated quickly.
His harder than grandma's dentures.
Don't do, boy. I'm punching you. Do it then, boy.
Celebrations wilder than a WWE brawl.
And I know what that means. I know what that feels like. And I'm gonna your wife.
You have to come hard. You gonna knock me down.
Please subscribe to join the NFL madness. Let's go.
What happened between you and Talib on the field early in the game?
I don't know. You gonna ask him because he didn't finish the game. Ice up, son. Ice up.
At number 10, Terrell Owens versus his QBs. Terrell Owens and Donovan McNabb, talk about a locker room nightmare. These two Eagles stars were supposed to be a dream team, but their relationship went up in flames faster than a drop touchdown pass. It all started in San Francisco, where T.O. wasn't exactly shy about calling out his quarterback, Jeff Garcia. Let's just say Garcia wasn't winning any popularity contests. The bickering continued when Owens landed in Philly with McNabb. They did lead the Eagles to the Super Bowl, but the tension was thicker than Philly cheesesteak. Money, coaching, and egos, it all exploded. Owens got suspended, then bounced to the rival Dallas Cowboys. McNabb never said much publicly, but the shade between them was real. Fast forward to today, and these two still haven't buried the hatchet. Guess some things never change. At number 9, Ray Lewis versus Chad Johnson. Imagine a rivalry so fiery, it crackled twice a year. That's Ray Lewis, the Baltimore Ravens linebacker, and Chad Johnson, aka Jad Ochocinco, the flamboyant wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. These two AFC North foes went head-to-head, and let's just say it got interesting. Johnson wasn't a great player. He was a walking highlight reel, with the celebrations to match. One time Lewis got flagged for clobbering Johnson so hard it knocked off his helmet. Johnson, heated, tried to start a fight shirtless. Talk about a meltdown. But it wasn't all bad blood. Johnson once tried to blindside Lewis with the block, but Lewis wasn't having it. He shut down that play faster than a pick six. Off the field, things were lighter. These two trash-talked each other through the media, but according to Johnson, they're cool now. Guess even legends can call a truce. At number 8, Steve Smith versus Aqib Talib. Remember that epic Carolina Panthers versus New England Patriots game in 2013? Well, get ready for a sideline brawl that turned into a legendary post-game interview. Steve Smith, the Panthers' fiery wide receiver, and Aqib Talib, the Patriots' star cornerback, went at it early on. Shoving, pushing, maybe a little face mask action. Things got chippy. Later, after Carolina pulled off a nail-biting win, a reporter caught up with Smith. Still hyped from the game, Smith was asked about the scuffle. His reply, an instant classic. I don't know, you go ask him, because he didn't finish a game. Ice up, son, ice up. Savage. This wasn't the first time Smith got under his opponent's skin. He was known for it. But between the fight, Talib leaving the game early, and Carolina's dramatic win, Smith was fired up. And that's how one of the most iconic interview moments in NFL history was born. Mic drop Steve Smith. At number 7, Odell Beckham Jr. versus Josh Norman. The Carolina Heat couldn't match the fiery feud between Odell Beckham Jr., the Giants' star receiver, and Josh Norman, Carolina's lockdown corner. Forget on-field arguments. This was a pre-game brawl that ignited a war zone. Punches flew, penalties rained, and Beckham's helmet-to-helmet hit left Norman's sideline. Social media became their new battleground, fueled by relentless trash talk, each jab more personal than the last. Even on different teams, the hatred burned. This wasn't a rivalry. It was a never-ending war of words and violent intent. Will these gladiators ever bury the hatchet? Only time, and maybe a bone-crushing tackle will tell. At number 6, Jerry Rice versus Deion Sanders. Forget Batman versus Superman. Football has its own epic rivalry. Jerry Rice, the unstoppable receiving machine, versus Deion Sanders, the cornerback so good they call him primetime. These two were like oil and water. Rice, the quiet assassin, and Sanders, the flamboyant showman. But on the field, pure magic. They went head-to-head 10 times, splitting wins right down the middle, 5 to Rice, 5 to Sanders. Talk about competition. Their battles were legendary. One game in 1993, Sanders wiped 2 interceptions, including one from Rice in the end zone. Brutal. But Rice got his payback, reeling in a crazy 13 catches for 225 yards and 5 touchdowns in another game. Believe it or not, they were even teammates for a season. Yep, they both won a Super Bowl together on the 1994 San Francisco 49ers. Awkward silence, anyone? Even with the championship ring, the rivalry simmered. When Sanders bounced to the Dallas Cowboys the next year, it was back to war. Rice versus Sanders, a clash of styles, a test of greatness, and a feud that will forever be a highlight reel in NFL history. At number 5, Ray Lewis versus Eddie George. Ray Lewis versus Eddie George, a rivalry built on bone-crushing tackles. These Titans ruled the late 90s. Lewis, the Ravens linebacker legend, and George, the Titans battering ram running back. Their teams constantly clashed, and their battles were epic. Lewis, known for thunderous hits, met George head-on, a true smash-mouth spectacle. One playoff game, Lewis snatched an interception from George's grasp, turning the tide with a 50-yard pick six. But George wasn't fazed. Remember when he caught a pass and trucked the 240-pound Lewis? This wasn't just his. It was bragging rights. Lewis talked trash. George answered with dominance. They pushed each other to greatness, making every Ravens-Titans duel a must-see. Lewis versus George, a rivalry for the ages. At number 4, Ben Roethlisberger versus Terrell Suggs. Imagine a rivalry that scorched the gridiron for over 16 years. That's Ben Roethlisberger, the Steelers' gunslinger, and Terrell Suggs, the Ravens' sack-happy menace. These AFC North foes clashed like gladiators, especially during those legendary Steelers-Ravens battles. Forget post-game handshakes. Here, respect was earned through bone-crushing hits. It all began with the rookie Big Ben celebrating a touchdown, until Suggs introduced him to the NFL with a brutal welcome wagon. This set the stage for a decade and a half of fierce competition. Suggs, a sacking machine, took down Big Ben a record 17 times. He even famously declared, "Big Ben's a great quarterback, but his backside belongs to me." Savage, but iconic. The twist? Off the field, respect reigned. Suggs himself called it an intense but hatred-free rivalry. That's the beauty of true competition, pushing each other to be better while acknowledging the other's talent. Big Ben versus Suggs, a rivalry where respect and bone-crushing hits coexisted, etching their names in NFL history. At number 3, Joe Montana versus Steve Young. This rivalry was the hottest ticket in town. The quarterback room overflowing with talent, not celebration. That's the San Francisco 49ers of the late 80s and early 90s. Joe Montana, the Ice Vein champion, and Steve Young, the gunslinger, waiting in the wings. Off the field, friends. On the field, a pressure cooker ready to explode. Montana, already a champion, wasn't thrilled when Young arrived in 1987. He craved more Super Bowls, not a successor, and guess what? He delivered, securing back-to-back championships with Young watching. Then came a twist of fate. Injury sidelined Montana, handing Young the reins. Unfortunately, Young stumbled. The pressure mounted as a healthy Montana faced competition not just from Young, but another backup. Owner interference and Montana's trade request exposed the turmoil behind the dynasty. This QB clash showcased incredible talent, but also the challenges of managing two superstar egos. And number 2, Lynn Swann versus George Atkinson. How can we forget the story of George Atkinson, the hard-hitting safety from the Oakland Raiders, and Lynn Swann, the graceful wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. These two teams, led by legendary coaches, were the AFC's powerhouses in the mid-70s, and Atkinson and Swann took their battles personally. Atkinson, gritty and tough. The Raiders' enforcer. Coach Chuck Noll of the Steelers even called him the criminal element of the NFL. Swann, on the other hand, was all about style and finesse. He even took ballet lessons to move like a dancer on the field. Complete opposites. Their clash in the 1975 AFC Championship game became legendary. Atkinson absolutely hammered Swann with a brutal hit, leaving the star receiver concussed and needing a stretcher. That play added jet fuel to the already fiery rivalry between the Raiders and Steelers. The next season, buckle up. In the very first game, Atkinson met Swann again, this time with another forearm smash to the head, away from the play this time. Swann was out cold, convinced Atkinson did it out of spite. Atkinson's response? Don't want to get hit, don't play on Sundays. Wow, talk about cold-blooded. Now that's a rivalry for the ages. And at number 1, Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning. Ali, Frazier, Ronaldo, Massey, Magic, Bird, Brady, Manning. 2 quarterbacks, 2 dynasties, and a rivalry that spanned over a decade. No trash talk, no cheap shots, just pure excellence pushing each other to be better. Brady, the 6th-round underdog. Manning, the golden boy drafted 1st overall. Brady, the quiet champion. Manning, the funny man with the knack for slinging touchdowns. Complete opposites, but their hunger for winning was the same. They met a whopping 17 times. Brady dominated the regular season, winning 9 out of 11 matchups. But come playoff time, the tables turned. Manning, with the 3-2 edge, had Brady's number where it mattered most. These 2 Titans dueled in the AFC Championship a record-breaking 4 times. Talk about pressure. This wasn't just a rivalry, it was an era. From 2001 to 2015, with only 3 exceptions, Brady and Manning faced off every single year. Every game was an event, a clash between 2 future Hall of Famers. Brady and Manning may not have gotten into shouting matches, but on the field, their fight to be the best was pure magic. So there you have it, folks, the NFL's most hated rivalries. Did your favorite grudge match make the cut? Let us know in the comments below. Want more dives into the crazy world of football? Don't forget to smash that subscribe button and hit that notification bell.